So the Google Pixel 4a has been a hit amongst people looking for a decent phone with really good specs for a great price. The iPhone 11 Pro has been one of the hottest flagship phones in the past year, and somebody actually asked the other day, would you please compare these two? And I figured, that's actually a pretty neat idea, as these two phones right here do share a lot of similarities, and it's just kind of fun to see how well does the Google Pixel 4a stack up against something like an 11 Pro. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Google Pixel 4a versus iPhone 11 Pro. Now, clearly, before we get going, disclaimer, this is not a competitive phone to the iPhone 11 Pro. We know this already in terms of, nobody's going to be cross-shopping these. We're talking about a luxurious iPhone 11 Pro with stainless steel edges versus an entry-level Google Pixel 4a. But what I want to illustrate in this video is how good of a value is that 4a really, because it's been a hit and for good reason. So taking a look at the bodies right away, you can see that they're pretty similar in size, although, the Google Pixel 4a does give you a much lighter 143 grams. That shows the pros of having a polycarbonate body. A lot of people like to call it plastic. It still feels very nice. Over here, of course, you have that matte feeling texture on the back, stainless steel. You do have the premium goods, but you're going to pay the price in weight at 188 grams on the 11 Pro. So definitely the weight of this phone feels that way, but that gives it a substantial feel. Now, you see some cuts here to the Gorilla Glass. We got Gorilla Glass 3 here for this phone on the Google Pixel 4a. There's definitely a step back from the Gorilla Glass that's included on the iPhone 11 Pro. It's just a higher quality version. And also we do have IP68 dust and water resistance for 11 Pro. Again, something you don't get on the Google Pixel 4a. It's just something that's missing when you get a cheaper phone, is sometimes the IP rating. Now, in terms of thickness, the Google Pixel 4a and the iPhone 11 Pro, get this, they're almost the same thickness, 8.2 millimeters for the Google Pixel 4a, 8.1 millimeters for the 11 Pro. And if you look at the camera bump, it's about just as thick on both. Now, if you take a look at that button, very different design, a lot bigger because it doubles as a series button on the iPhone 11 Pro versus the smaller mint green button over there. But overall, these phones, besides the body, in terms of feel, they feel about the same to hold, except for, the materials on board. You get a lighter feeling on here, and then you get a more substantial, weightier feeling for the 11 Pro. Okay, so where they start to compare very favorably is the display. So the Google Pixel 4a does give you just a beautiful 5.8 inch OLED display. It's 5.81 inch actually, to be exact. And it does give you very nice colors on this panel. On the iPhone 11 Pro, some of the benefits of this one are that it just gets way brighter in terms of usable brightness. This is where you're gonna see the difference in the price. Also, the True Tone is something that's, you just don't find a similar feature on the Google Pixel 4a. However, the Google Pixel 4a still has some nice, neat display features. It does have a few things like adaptive modes, boosted and natural, which can change out the color. And of course, you do have dark modes on here as well as the iPhone 11 Pro. Mostly the difference between a $1,000 iPhone like this, or maybe even a Galaxy phone, is they just get a little bit brighter. And then when it comes to a video performance, you can see we could pinch in. Very good video watching experience. Basically covers your entire hand up, and you have like a little mini TV compact in your pocket. You can see another glaring difference is the Google Pixel 4a just has a punch hole camera, and it just really makes me a little upset after all these years. We're still seeing a massive notch here on the iPhone 11 Pro. If we pinch in here, it's just unacceptable. I understand Face ID is amazing, but I just want to see, a better design from Apple, considering that phones even at $349 are now getting more close to an all screen than even this device right here. Now, you could argue, what are you talking about? Look at that chin. Look at that thicker chin on the Google Pixel 4a. I get it, but I don't look at that as much as I look at that right there. So yeah, I know some people are gonna say, yeah, you don't even notice the notch. This guy don't know what he's talking about. Not true. You actually do notice it when you compare it to something like this. But overall, the iPhone 11 Pro still has the better sheer display quality when we're talking about the actual, like just the brightness, the overall, just display panel itself. It's still a better quality panel. Now, talking about the software differences, here's where, again, these phones are very close. The Google Pixel 4a giving you a simple, clean Google experience with plenty of software updates, and something this gives you that even the iPhone 11 Pro won't give you is a full split screen. Now, I do have the iOS 14 over here, which allows picture-in-picture mode, which gets something close to this, but it's not a true multitasking like the Google Pixel 4a, where you can have a split screen on board. So there are features that are beneficial like that, or the always on display for the Google Pixel 4a. Now the iPhone 11 Pro, of course, are running the iOS 14 beta here. Definitely looking pretty sweet. Some people like to say it looks crisp and clean. I don't even know what that means. The Pixel looks crisp and clean as well. So you can see right here, definitely, you know, traditional iOS in the settings menu. You don't have the ability to move your icons still where you want, but you do have plenty of software updates, quality applications, and a very smooth experience, even when it's not running on a 120 hertz display. However, I would still like to see ProMotion on the next iPhone. You're getting plenty of support here. That's why you're paying the money for multiple years of support. This is a really easy pick here. You want Google apps, you get a Pixel. You want Apple-based stuff, you get an iPhone. They're both very clean software that's not overly cluttered for the user. Now, when it comes to performance, major difference, A13 Bionic, and this does have 4 gigs of RAM. The Google Pixel 4a actually has more RAM than the iPhone 11 Pro, funny enough, 6 gigs of RAM, 730G, so it's not the best chipset out there. But again, it really hasn't mattered. The Google Pixel 4a is super well optimized, so you don't really see a big difference in performance if you're just doing daily stuff, even versus something like an 11 Pro. We actually compared the Pixel 4a to the iPhone SE, which has the same chipset as this. But when you start breaking it down, you start getting the more intensive stuff, you will see that the iPhone 11 Pro just has a monster chip. It depends on your usage when it comes to those processors and performance. And also in the long term, the chipset will help out as updates tend to slow down smartphones. So do keep those things in mind when deciding between a more premium price phone and something like a Pixel 4a. So how much different are they in audio? We're going to see how the A13 Bionic stacks up against this 865 Plus CPU in a Note 20 Ultra. Okay, so clearly Google made the right decision by putting dual speakers on this one. Really nice. The one on the bottom is much louder than the one on the top, but it's still there. You do have a headphone jack for Pixel 4a. You've seen it got pretty loud, but let's see how the iPhone 11 Pro sounds now. 3, 2, 1, and see which one gets there first. Now, the iPhone 11 Pro Max is a 2019 phone, so I'm not hearing a major difference. I think the iPhone 11 Pro just sounds a little bit clearer, a little bit more, I would say, full sounding. The Pixel 4a just slightly tinnier, but a more fair comparison will probably be the 12. Clearly, the iPhone 11 Pro has a louder speaker on the bottom as well. Pro Max, and we'll see that one compared to this phone later. It's a little harder to cover up the iPhone 11 Pro speaker on the top, though. I would say overall, you know, this is not really that much better, even though it's a $1,000 phone. So talking about the cameras, I didn't really want to compare them here because it's not really fair, honestly. The Google Pixel 4a has 1 camera. This one has 3. You can see it looks much larger on the iPhone 11 Pro, but here's the thing. The Google Pixel 4a, at least in terms of the regular camera, compares very favorably to the iPhone 11 Pro. When you just pull out and shoot, the Pixel 4a can definitely match up very nicely to the 11 Pro. When it comes to the video quality here though, the Pixel 4a can also match up pretty well when it comes to just your regular video shooting in 4K 30, but you can get 4K 60 for the 11 Pro. So the 11 Pro is far better for a professional when it comes to the video quality. It's going to give you much more. And also the iPhone 11 Pro on the front can do 4K 60, so it can't really match it anywhere near it in video. So camera's still a major win for a more premium phone. Now, one thing I will say though is that when it comes to zooming in, the zoom in photos look actually pretty good on the Pixel, but you can only go like 7x, so not much of a zoom there at all. Now on Galaxies, you can go really far on the zoom, so that's going to be a difference between a Galaxy phone, but here you can go 10x. The zoom quality is just far better on the 11 Pro. Overall, you're just going to win in the camera department. I mean, that's really what you're paying for. But if you only need a single great camera and you don't need those extras, the Google Pixel 4a will do the job. But the camera that actually makes the big difference here is the wide angle camera. There's a reason why the iPhone 11 doesn't really need the telephoto, because the wide angle is a more useful camera, and this one has it, and you can also do video in wide angle. So a lot more flexibility in the camera for something like the 11 Pro. So when it comes to biometrics, we do have the fingerprint scanner on the back for the Pixel 4a, and over here on the iPhone 11 Pro, front-facing Face ID. Sometimes with the masks right now, these get in the way, you know, but still, the Face ID is a more advanced feature for the iPhone 11 Pro. That's why there's a notch there for the Face ID. However, the Google Pixel fingerprint sensor is in the perfect location. Again, you know, still a great biometric option. I think it comes down to your preference. As far as security, Face ID probably will win out, but still, it comes down to preference. Both of them have pretty great biometric offerings. Now, when it comes to the battery life, this is an area again where the Google Pixel 4a falls very short of the 11 Pro. It's really hard to beat this 11 Pro in this body size for, you know, the battery life. The Pixel 4a doesn't come close here. The iPhone 11 Pro, for the size of this phone, gets amazing battery life. I mean, I'm talking easily through a day, sometimes a day and a half. Now, the Google Pixel 4a, definitely not going to quite match it there. Now, the Google Pixel 4a will get you through a day. I wouldn't say easily, though. You know, you're going to have to use it light, not use it too hard. But it will get you through the day. You have your battery modes over here. At the end of the day, you're paying the difference again here in the battery life. So, you know, you can look at these two phones on the surface and see how similar they are, but when it comes to the actual battery performance, you get what you pay for here. The iPhone 11 Pro definitely will crush this phone in day-to-day battery life. And I just want to talk about a couple other things. When it comes to color options, you can only get something like just black here for the Google Pixel 4a. Not a bad idea. I mean, it's a really clean looking color right there. But in the iPhone 11 Pro, you can get it gold, silver, midnight green. I mean, you got multiple different colors. I should also mention the phone call quality. Surprisingly, the Pixel 4a comes pretty close here, not really dropping much calls. However, the speaker performance through the headpiece sounds clear on the iPhone 11 Pro. I would expect that. And speakerphone calls a little bit louder on the 11 Pro as well. So the 11 Pro, pretty good here. Now, I would say that in terms of connectivity, funny enough, the Pixel 4a actually held on to better internet signal for me than the iPhone 11 Pro over here. But at the same time, you know, very fast Wi-Fi 6 performance for the iPhone 11 Pro. You don't have that here on the Google Pixel 4a. So we've arrived at the end of this video. We basically discussed everything between both of these, and you can see that there's a lot of features that are better on the 11 Pro. Clearly, I didn't make this video to convince you that this is a better phone. Clearly not. I just wanted to do this for fun to see kind of how close does the Pixel 4a get to an 11 Pro. Not quite close enough, I'd say, for people who really like premium devices, but this is a great side phone, a backup phone to something like an 11 Pro, or if you're in the Android land and you have a premium Galaxy phone or a premium, you know, Google Pixel phone, this is a great backup. It really has most of what this has. So for those of you who are just not able to buy right now the iPhone 11 Pro or something this premium, I totally understand. I think you get enough here to not really miss most of what's here in the 11 Pro, really, unless you really need that wide angle camera, those pro features, which you think you need it until you have it and then you realize you're not using it as much. You probably don't need it. This has still got a lot of what this offers. Anyway, if you guys found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click that like button for me, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what else you want to see going forward. A lot of you have been really liking the Pixel 4a video, so I continued it here. I'll catch you all in the next episode. Be sure to be well, stay safe, and peace.